or treat!
Where's Waldo? Oh, where's my candy? Right here!
The spooky season is upon us, so like a zombie from the grave, here are 10 discontinued Halloween candies that we want brought back. Candy corn Oreo.
Candy corn Oreos. Oreos with candy corn filling.
When you think of trick-or-treating, what's the first candy that comes to mind? If you said candy corn, then you'd be among thousands of Americans who've been saying the same thing. It was in the 1950s when the treat's bright autumn colors first made it a staple to hand out for Halloween. The taste is pretty polarizing. Some people are a little put off by the waxy yet crumbly texture of candy corn. But if that's your only barrier to enjoying it, then Oreo cookies once offered a sweet treat that was sure to please even the harshest candy corn critic. Candy corn Oreos were a sinfully sweet delight, comprised of orange and yellow frosting spread between two vanilla cookies. It was truly the ideal compromise. The crunchy yet familiar texture of an Oreo cookie combined with the sweet, traditional flavors of candy corn. The candy corn Oreo was released only seasonally, which makes sense, of course.
Except on Halloween.
But this may have also contributed to the treat's downfall. As delicious as they may have been, they just couldn't generate enough hype to justify keeping them around. And the candy corn Oreo has been mysteriously missing from grocery store shelves since around 2016. Astro Pop.
Sorry, kid. Astro Pop's for closers.
For years, if you were planning on dressing up as an astronaut or a space alien for Halloween, then the only way you'd be able to complete the look would be with an Astro Pop in your hand. It's the candy made by real rocket scientists, after all. As the story goes, Astro Pops were the brainchild of two rocket scientists who quit their day jobs to pursue their dream of making a candy based on the three-stage rocket. In 1963, they did just that. Millions were sold in their first few years of operation, and throughout the following decades, they would cement themselves as a spooky season staple. The original lollipops were a layering of cherry, passion fruit, and pineapple flavors stacked in a cone shape, though variations such as the banana split and caramel apple would come to be added in later years.
Apple? We're here for candy!
The company would eventually land themselves in a bit of trouble, however, when in 1997 they were sued by a family claiming that their child had been injured when he had sucked the lollipop into too sharp of a point. Perhaps as a result of this, the company changed the position of their stick to be at the tip of the cone rather than at the base in the year 2000. And for whatever reason, children just didn't seem to gravitate to this candy in quite the same way when they could no longer shape it into pointy little daggers. Starburst candy corn.
Not the candy corn crap.
This entry is, in some ways, the exact opposite of the candy corn Oreo example we brought up earlier. While that one managed to improve the candy corn flavor by switching up the texture, Starburst decided to go in an entirely different direction in 2013 by giving us candy corn in fruity flavors. These waxy little treats came in cherry, orange, lemon, and strawberry flavors, which honestly seems a little better suited for the summer season than for autumn. Part of what made candy corn synonymous with Halloween was their yellow and orange coloring that brings to mind the changing leaves.
First day of autumn, leaves changing beautiful color.
Starburst candy corn, on the other hand, is bright and cheery looking. They may taste sweet enough, but these candies aren't necessarily going to be your go-to treat for the spooky season. And considering there are plenty who claim that candy corn is already sweet enough as it is, this may not have been as big of an improvement to the recipe as Starburst had been hoping. These fruit-flavored treats just weren't able to find a large enough fan base, and only 4 years after being released onto shelves, Starburst candy corn vanished forever. Ouch, bubblegum.
It's gum.
It's a stick of the most amazing and sensational gum in the whole universe.
Who says candy can't also be functional? Well, we wouldn't recommend that you either use gum as a Band-Aid or chew a used Band-Aid as gum, but regardless, there is definitely something about Ouch bubble gum that just brings the spooky season to mind. Maybe it's the fact that it almost seems like a candy in costume itself. The idea behind this candy was to package sticks of gum to look like Band-Aids so that you can enjoy gum dressed up as a Band-Aid while you're dressed up as Spider-Man.
I'm Peter Parker. That's not possible. I am Spider-Man.
Ouch bubblegum came as individually wrapped pieces inside a metallic tin. Every pack would also give you a chance to win one of 20 collectible games, proving that children had even more reason to celebrate when they'd find one of these bad boys at the bottom of their Halloween bag. The gum itself came in a variety of intense flavors, including strawberry, grape, and watermelon, though they would later add a bubblegum option as well. They tasted great and proved to be a big hit with kids throughout the 90s. But a dip in sales around the early 2000s led to Hubba Bubba deciding to discontinue Ouch bubblegum in 2009. Candy corn Hershey's Kisses.
This Hershey's Kiss is melted.
They were only around for a short time only, and yet candy corn Hershey's Kisses definitely made an impact while they were. This white chocolate candy offered in fun candy corn colors made it onto shelves in 2008, and they were the perfect option when it came to getting in a little Halloween-themed baking. Similar to the candy corn Oreo, these little gems combined the classic sweetness of the harvest time treat with a more familiar texture, sure to please all those fence-sitters out there who haven't quite made up their mind on how they feel about candy corn. But that being said, they didn't necessarily make for the best candy to hand out to trick-or-treaters, with their thin foil wrapping being too easily removed and making them fast suspects for tampering. And while we're on the subject, make sure to check any Halloween candy you collect while trick-or-treating, just to be on the safe side. And since Hershey's Kisses already come in a variety of more popular flavors, including the seasonal Monster Kisses made with simple milk chocolate, candy corn kisses just weren't able to stand out as much as we might hope. By 2011, candy corn Hershey's Kisses had been pulled from shelves permanently. Garbage candy.
I eat garbage because I am garbage.
If you were trick-or-treating throughout the 80s or 90s, then chances are that you remember finding one of these perfectly putrid little treats in your bag. Garbage candy. Meant to capitalize on every child's secret desire to be disgusting, this one's gimmick was that the candy came packaged in brightly colored plastic trash cans, forcing you to dig your way through to enjoy treats shaped like discarded bones or an old shoe. The candy itself was pretty unexceptional, with all of it being made out of a faintly sweet, chalky substance, with brands like Toxic Waste offering a similar style of packaging with a more memorable candy inside. It became increasingly more difficult for garbage candy to stand out over the years.
You and your big fat brain are losing badly.
What once started out as a staple for kids to find in their Halloween bags eventually began vanishing from shelves, and by 1996, garbage candy was gone. It would be great to see the candy return, maybe with a better recipe. But that being said, there's still something special about the childhood memory of digging through a neon-colored trash can to enjoy sugar candy shaped like fish bones on Halloween night. Nestle Wonder Ball.
What's important is what's inside.
The Wonder Ball was introduced onto shelves in the mid-90s, and although it was available year-round, there was something about the experience of finding one of these bad boys in amongst your trick-or-treating haul that felt a little extra special. These hollow, egg-shaped balls of milk chocolate could be cracked open to uncover either sugary sweets or some sort of collectible toy. It wasn't uncommon for the toy to be tied into some popular movie or franchise at the time, with some of their most popular themes being Disney, Pokemon, and SpongeBob SquarePants. The chocolate itself was delicious, sure, but the real draw to this treat was the excitement of finding out what was inside and comparing your uncovered treasures with your friends. But that being said, the Wonder Ball was plagued with problems seemingly from the very beginning.
The bear's eyes can become easily detached and pose a potential choking hazard.
First receiving criticism in 1997, parents complained that the plastic toys inside posed a choking hazard to children. As a result, the Wonder Ball was discontinued for a time before being re-released in the year 2000 with themed candies inside instead of plastic toys. Even still, the Nestle company just couldn't seem to shake the criticism, as an urban legend began circulating that a child had passed away after choking on the Wonder Ball. It has been discontinued and re-released multiple times over the years before being passed from Nestle to Frankfurt to be released onto shelves with an entirely new look for a short period of time. The Frankfurt version is currently only available online, but the original Wonder Ball may just be gone for good. Candy corn dots.
We bribed her with dots.
Dots may be the perfect movie theater snack, but when you're sitting down to enjoy something spooky this season, what could possibly be better than candy corn dots? This gumdrop take on a classic fall flavor built a fast cult following when they first hit the shelves back in 2009, joining a line of Halloween-themed dots that already included black bat dots, which are actually blood orange flavored instead of black licorice as you might have expected, and translucent pale green ghost dots.
Spooky, right?
Between the three seasonal options, candy corn dots just weren't quite as popular as the others, finding especially stiff competition against the bat dots, who many claim to be their favorite. Butterfinger BBs.
Give me Butterfinger.
For children of the 90s, Butterfinger BBs were the ideal Halloween treat. These were Butterfinger candy bars shrunk down into bite-sized balls, perfect for sharing or for digging eagerly out from your bag and munching down all yourself after a long night of trick-or-treating. Filled with a crispy, peanut butter-flavored center and coated in decadent milk chocolate, the Butterfinger BBs could almost be compared to Whoppers in their design. They were advertised using The Simpsons as well, with Bart Simpson and his friends skateboarding across the bright yellow packaging. And we have to admit that the sponsored tie-in may have added a bit of an extra cool factor for kids back in 1992.
Nobody lays a finger on my better Butterfinger.
But that being said, it was basically just a bite-sized, ball-shaped version of a Butterfinger, and perhaps we as a public merely decided that we didn't need the BBs when the original chocolate bar had already been a classic since the 1920s. Another theory for the sudden decline in popularity is related to the chocolate's quick melting point, as customers would frequently complain about how sticky their hands would get while eating them. Whatever the official reason was, Butterfinger BBs had vanished from shelves entirely by 2006. You can still find the original candy bar in stores, and in 2009, Nestle released Butterfinger Mini Bites so that you can still find your snack-sized chocolate. And yet it just isn't the same without that fun marble shape. PB Max.
Peanut butter? Huh.
When it comes to peanut butter treats, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups may be the tried and true champion today. But if you were trick-or-treating back in the 90s, you may have been hoping to find a PB Max in your bag instead. And they weren't only peanut butter mixed with chocolate. No, instead, picture a cookie that's been smothered in peanut butter and oats, then wrapped in rich, decadent chocolate. Who could possibly say no to that? The PB Max actually did prove to be extremely popular for the 4 years it was available on the market, too, pulling in a whopping $50 million in sales. So then why was it discontinued? Did Reese's Peanut Butter Cups prove too much competition for them?
Are you challenging me?
Well, believe it or not, no. Although Reese's has definitely solidified itself as a candy classic since first being introduced onto the market in the 1920s, the biggest problem with the PB Max, according to a former Mars executive, was that the Mars family just didn't like peanut butter. Hopefully, the PB Max will be able to make a comeback someday soon. But considering it hasn't been spotted since being pulled off of shelves in 1994, we don't have high hopes.